Should we eat whole grains or not? Now, there's a lot of people out there, silly people, who say a lot of silly things about how grains are going to kill you and how they're bad. Well, they're partially right about that. The way we choose to eat grains is we grind them up into a powder that we all like to call flour, and then we throw some water in it, and then we put usually some form of sugar in it or molasses in it. And if we're really trying to be shrewd and put one over on everyone, we throw a few sprouts in it and tell you it's sprouted grain bread. And then we cook the heck out of it. Now, that bread is a bread that was discovered and made in Europe hundreds and hundreds of years ago. All breads in the original form were sprouts. They actually took grains and they germinated them. And then in some areas of the world, they would actually hit them with mortars and pestles and smush them up and make these flat breads that you would see, for instance, in Scandinavia. They're not exactly the same anymore, but these flat breads. And they would dry them in the sun. Then some very smart guy, that now we would call these people bakers, started to say, well, hey, if I throw a little yeast in that bread over there, it blows up. So I can sell 1/3 of my grain that looks 2 times larger to somebody for 2 times more money. And that's exactly where the yeast breads came from. And now we're putting yeast into our body on top of everything else. All of these grain breads break down to sugar. A lot of us actually have been brave enough and smart enough to get away from the blatant sugars that we mentioned, the honeys, the agaves, the maple syrup, etc. And we went right into taking sprouted grain bread, and then all at once we had the memories of Mommy giving us toast and jelly. So we started to now pull out the whole grain breads from our local health stores and eat them, and that just substituted for another good way to get the fix we call sugar. Now, sprouted breads, even if they're cooked a little bit, are not going to do the same as flour breads. And better than cooking them is dehydrating them. And sprouted grains happen to be extremely healthy. They are not the same problems as flour. As a matter of fact, not only are they significantly more digestible, they are significantly more nourishing. When they're raw, they are more like a plant. Yes, if you grow these, as you know, some grow into plants, the same kind of thing that we would call a vegetable. So how dare people say that a sprouted grain is bad for you? They usually are the proponents of heavy fruit consumption, and they're losing their memory a little bit, and so maybe they don't quite stay up with modern science at this point.